Hello everyone, welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Hay. I'm an artist and the importer of Powertex for Australia. So today we are continuing our series on beginning with Powertex. So I'm taking a look currently at a few easy projects that you can get started with. And they also make a lot of fun as gift ideas. So coming up for Christmas or birthdays, these are little gifts that you could also give your friends and family as lovely little handmade items that you have made personally for them. So this is a super fun project. So what we're looking at today is how to make some fabric brooches. They could also be pendants. So if you're not a fan of brooches, they can also be made into pendants. And next week, I'll be showing you how to attach the pin and how to, make a loop so that it can actually be used as a pendant, and also how to color them up so that they look really gorgeous. Okay, so today let's take a look at the art table. I'll just flash on down and bring up these brooches. So these are some fabric brooches that I have made, and they are done in a range of colors. So I thought I'd talk to you about that first. So with the Powertex, a really fantastic way to get a professional finish on your artwork is to actually use a dark base underneath. So when you are beginning with Powertex, start with a dark base. A really lovely color that I always suggest to newbies is the Powertex Bronze. It's a really lovely, dark, rich, earthy color. And I will be talking a bit more about that today because I'll be using that. But if you're looking for festive colours, it's really nice to use one of the other Powertex Universal Medium bases to get a different effect. So this one is done with red Powertex. And so you can see that the red is actually flashing through from underneath. And that is because it has actually been done with red Powertex. So you can see how that fabric in the undertone is actually red. And I believe that this one, I think it was actually done with the bronze and then just coloured up with the blue. So that looks like the light blue and bronze gold and some purple as well. So that just shows you how you can use, one of the different colours in the Powertex range. And there are a range of beautiful colours. So you've got transparent to work with any of your natural fibres and fabrics, or if you've got beautifully dyed fabrics that you want to keep the colour of, then you would use transparent. And the new transparent is actually waterproof. So many more possibilities, and we'll talk about some of those in the new year. But then of course you've got terracotta, bluish grey, bronze, black, white, ivory, green, red, blue and yellow. So there's a whole myriad of colours to choose from, and that will give you a different look to your artwork depending on the base that you choose. So, of course, you can paint with it, you can sculpt with it. It's going to turn your porous fibres hard. And, this is just fabric and it is really, really hard. And so I'll show you how we assemble and do those today. So as I said, any of the colours from the Powertex range are really, really gorgeous. But if you want that really beautiful festive look, maybe try using some red Powertex. But even the blue is really gorgeous. We'll use red in the next session. So not next week, but the week after. And I'll show you how that comes up. Welcome, everyone. So we've got Lamia from Montreal. So thanks for watching. And Nicole from Three Hearts Art Studio in Mandurah. And so Nicole does some beautiful classes down her way. So you might want to check out her studio as well. All right, so let's get cracking. I'll swing on down to the art table so that you get a more full view. And what the great thing with this little project is, I remember when I started with Powertex, and you know, it was a little bit daunting. It was like, oh, what do I do here, and how do I do it, and you know, what do I need, and all of that sort of stuff. And so what I'm trying to do is make it really easy for you to pull your Powertex out of your art stash and get started with it. So this is a really simple project for that. So if you've got some Powertex hidden away in your cupboard that's been there for a little while and you've wanted to use it, this is a perfect project, as is the Rusty Journal that I showed you in the last couple of weeks. So pull it out, have a look, or if you've been dying to try it, these are perfect little projects for you to try, and also give as gifts for Christmas. So you can see you don't need a lot of materials. So I'll just swap screens over so you can get a fuller view of that. So you just need a few things. So some little plaster heads. These ones I have used some larger heads than what I've got to use today. So these little ones are actually these ones. So they're a little bit more subtle, where I do like this one. I've got to say that's probably my favourite. It's a little bit dusty, but you can actually also wash them with just water, warm soapy water. So really, really cool. All right, so we just need some sort of brooch pin, but like I say, I will also show you how to create a loop and different fibres and fabrics, and you don't have to include a plaster head. I just really like the look of it. And this one, we'll talk more about colour next week, but most of these are done with the bronze Powertex Ultimate Medium. Now, with the universal medium, it truly is universal because it acts like a glue, it paints, and it is also going to harden the fibres and fabrics that we add onto there. So I'll just move these out of the way a little bit. So I've got a bit more room here to create. And what I've done is I've actually wrapped a mat in plastic. So this would be something that you've seen me do before, not so easy on the eyes. We'll just pop my cloth there, and I'll work over on this side here. So the thing with the bronze is there is a new colour which is waterproof. The 500 grams actually is the original bronze formula. So if you do love that one, oh, I didn't open this one this morning. Oops, I've opened the other one. I never clean my lids off very well. Oh, doesn't want to come off. Oh, hang on. Let's open this one. So this is the new Powertex. So it is darker, like I say. I'll just see if, oh gosh. Sorry, guys. Okay, hot tip for getting lids off. Number one, clean them before you put the lids on. I'm hopeless at doing that. The other thing that you can do is you can put a bit of plastic wrap over the top of it, which actually works very effectively. If you do find that your lid is stuck on and it's really hard to get off, what I do, because I have done this quite frequently, is I actually turn it upside down and I submerge the lid in some hot water so that it loosens up the Powertex that is in here. And I only do it for a couple of minutes. So this is how the original bronze looks, and it is a really nice, rich bronze earthy colour. And this is the new bronze, which is your 1 kilo and 5 kilos. What I've done on the website is I've called it dark bronze because it's the first formula of the new formula. It's more like licorice. And so you can see clearly the difference. So this is the dark bronze, so it's almost black. And this is the original bronze. So if you are in Australia and you want that original bronze colour, maybe just for the head section, then you might want to get a 500 gram bottle. But the dark bronze is actually really nice as well. And I've just put dark bronze on it to differentiate it so that you know on the website that it's not that original bronze colour. Okay, so let's get cracking. So what we want to do first of all is we want to get a selection of materials. So I've got some rubber gloves, well, latex gloves. I've got some kebab sticks, which I love working with. And then I've got a little paintbrush, another little paintbrush, and I've got some other tools as well that I can actually play with and use. So they're essentially my tools. I've also got a pair of scissors there in case I want to cut any of the fabrics. And then I've got a different range of fabrics here. So let's take a look at those. I'll move these aside. So these are just offcuts from the various projects that I've done. So you can see that that's quite a wide strip. These are perfect size. So they're actually really nice to use. And then I've got a few bigger bits that I can actually cut up or manipulate. So this t-shirt material, I really like it when it's thin, and I really like it when it's got quite a fine weave. So I find that, you know, if that is the case, you're going to use less Powertex and it gets a really beautiful leathery look, which I just absolutely love. So if you are watching, please let me know that you are. I would love to hear from you. And of course, if you've got any questions, please ask along the way. So that's the t-shirt material. Now you can see all of these bits. These are just scrappy ends when I've been cutting strips of fabric for a project. And these are just literally the offcuts. So I can use anything. You know, Powertex is so awesome for actually using just old household discarded items, things that you would usually throw away. So if you are into repurposing objects or upcycling, Powertex is perfect because it is going to pretty much stick to anything. This is really lovely stuff. It does take a little bit of a while to dry. I won't show you that this week. I'll show that to you when we're doing the bottle bling. This is paper deco. You'll find that on the Powertex Australia website or Powertex, wherever you can get it. Paper decoration is really gorgeous. It's essentially a mulberry wood. You can see how beautifully textured that is. So if you've got some of that in your stash, definitely have a play with it. You can see how it stretches out and it just gets the most beautiful texture that you can use for either, you know, sculptural work or something like what we're doing here today with some smaller items, journaling, or, you know, painting if you're creating texture on your mixed media work. So I love the paper deco. If you love texture, you will definitely love that. The other thing that I do love working with is muslin. Now, what I love about muslin is see how I can distress that fabric. Hang on, I'll hold it over the grey here so that you can really get a sense of that. So if I pull it, I can distress, I can tease those edges out, and it is just really, really gorgeous. So we might cut off a little bit of that. I'll use a little bit of that. I can always get a little bit more if I want. I might use a little bit of this. bit of that off. So that's the white paper deco. It also comes in natural. Absolutely, like I say, gorgeous to use. And I might use some of this. Wow, look how long that is. So that's a really, really long piece. So I might just cut that up into a couple of smaller bits. So before I get my hands dirty, I actually like to organise all my fibres and fabrics so that I don't get the Powertex onto the fabrics and fibres that I'm sorting through. Okay, what else have we got in here? So that's, these are beautiful. I should talk about these. So this is just literally mop string. So I've got an old mop and I've cut it up and it makes so many beautiful strings and it takes the Powertex absolutely perfectly, and you can shred it, you can put knots in it. So it's actually a really lovely, lovely thing to use, and you can see how beautiful that would be once it's coated with the Powertex. Okay, so this is actually Power Cotton. Can't get it in Australia anymore, unfortunately. This is just some that I had left. But if you find anything similar to this, let me know. It is absolutely gorgeous to work with. I'm sure there's other alternatives, but any string, candle wick, anything porous that you love is going to be gorgeous. And lace, all your natural laces and things like that. The other thing that I do love working with is I love working with natural materials as well, and some paper flowers and things like that. So these are actually nuts that I've collected, and so they've got, you know, some really interesting shapes and textures. So you could see how that could be an element on a brooch just in itself. So instead of using a head, you could just use one of these nuts as the centerpiece. I love these crispy sorts of, they actually, if you can't find anything like this, you'll find them in potpourri. So you can buy potpourri, and I actually love using potpourri because it's got such unusual shapes. And so this is actually, these are from a potpourri sample as well. But any nuts or natural materials that you pick up, because the Powertex, it's going to absorb the Powertex because they are very porous, then, you know, they are perfect. So there's all sorts of bits. So you can see there's some different colours. So if I wanted to keep the colours, I would just use transparent Powertex on those. These I absolutely love. So they are so gorgeous, and they are definitely out of potpourri. So I've got all my red bits in here. And so you can see they're all the same red colour. So how nice would they be just with transparent Powertex? So it is nice to have little boxes like this of things that you've collected and sorted, so that when you are ready to do something and you go, oh, just like a few little natural materials, you've actually got a really nice collection of little bits and pieces. So I'm sure that you guys all have a stash of beautiful things that you put away. Let's pull them out and let's use them, because you know, what's the point of having them and not using them? Alrighty. So this has been painted. This is a paper flower. So this is how it looked initially. And that is how it looks once it got painted with the Powertex. So that's actually done with black Powertex. The black Powertex is actually a really nice base colour. So I'm sure the dark bronze colour will be really, really gorgeous when we try that today. These little paper flowers, I absolutely adore these. They're super cute. I usually cut off the stem, so I might use a couple of those. That is them painted up with some Powertex. So again, you can see they were just soft paper. They are now super, super, super hard. So this is the major benefit of using Powertex, is it really makes your papers, your fabrics, your fibers hard. And it's just so sculptural and so fantastic to use with your painting. Alrighty, so I've got a couple of little African heads here that have already been painted with bronze Powertex. This one has already had fabric put on the back of it. And you can see there's actually male and female head here. But if you actually cover the male head over the top, it doesn't look necessarily masculine. And it also looks a little bit more European, I think, that male head. So there are plenty of those available. They come in packs of 5. You'll find those under plasters on the website. You can also make your own molds, which is what these are. These are just made from molds. Now, you can press stone art into them, or you can pour plaster molds. Anne from Canada is watching. So welcome, Anne. Lovely to have you here. It's great to have you on live. It must be late at night there. Okay, so let's get cracking. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get a little piece of fabric that I'm going to use as the backing. So I'll get 2 going. And then that way we can have a look at the difference between the dark bronze and the original bronze as well. And I've got my gloves here ready to pop on. So, Anne, these will be perfect ideas for you to have a play with for your Christmas markets. I know you've got all sorts of things happening there. So these are a lot of fun to do and, you know, really quite lovely. All right, I'm not a great fan of wearing the gloves, I've got to say. I find that it's a lot easier to actually manipulate the fibres and things when I haven't got gloves on. I like to use my fingers. So, but let's just, so normally I would work in some sort of tub or bowl, but I've got this out, so I'm just going to utilise this and I'm going to massage that into that fabric. I like to not use too much, so I don't tend to dip it and pull the Powertex out of it. I tend to massage the Powertex into the actual fibres. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that it's all covered. So I've used that up. Got my little hand cloth here just for convenience. So you will find that if you don't clean your hands off, that you'll kind of stick to everything as you go, because the Powertex will stick to the Powertex. So if you think of it like that, it does make sense. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit more on here. So you don't want it too dry, like this is too dry. You definitely don't want patchy areas. So you want to make sure all your areas are covered, but you also don't want that fabric to be saturated. I find if the fabric is actually saturated, and you'll be able to tell if it's really shiny and slippery, then that is a bit saturated. So if it's really, really super shiny. Okay, so that is that one. Let's take a look at the dark bronze. Really is like a beautiful licorice colour. It's got a really nice consistency as well. And the benefit with this dark bronze is, like the new transparent, it is fully waterproof, not just weather resistant. So that means that you can use your Powertex now for things like fountains or bird baths, you know, where it will be fully waterproof. You just need to make sure that you let it dry longer, so before you do put it in, before you submerge it in water. Okay, look at that. So there's a very clear comparison between the two colours. So you can see that this is, it's not black. It is actually a really deep bronze colour. It is really gorgeous, nice texture to work with. Whereas this one is, you know, the original bronze. I'm getting the dark bronze on the lighter bronze though, so not that it's going to matter too much. But that's where, you know, working with different colours, I don't tend to do that at the same time. Just going to put a little bit more of the original bronze on here to get rid of those patchy bits that I've just put on there with my fingers. Okay, beautiful. Now, what I love about the t-shirt material, I love that you can pull it. Like once you've got that Powertex on there, see how I can stretch the edges and get a really beautiful pull, and it does all these gorgeous things with the fabric. So see how it goes to a natural point. It's defying me. Got these silly gloves on. But see how that's naturally curled? It's just so lovely. So I'll do it to this one as well while we're here. Won't worry about if I get a bit of patchies on it. And this is how I get that really leathery look with the fabric, is by pulling the stretch out of it. You also find that your materials actually go a bit further. Bonus. Okay, so as I said, when you're beginning with the Powertex, start with a dark base colour, and then that way it's just going to give you a lot nicer, more professional finish. Alrighty, move that out of there. Myself a bit more room. Okay, so if I was starting with a plaster, just looking for one here. Okay, this one here. Let's get some of this dark colour so we can see how it looks on the plaster. Oops, I messed my own technique up because I painted the front first. So what I normally do when I'm working on these little brooches, just to make the whole process a little bit faster, because now I've just got to put that down to dry, is I actually paint the back first and sit it on that piece of fabric. Now you can see this one's got a little bit of a munted nose. I'll do this one with the bronze, the original bronze colour. It's got a little bit of the dark bronze on the brush still. But you can see this one is a lot more chocolate. Oh, doing it again. What I want to do is I want to coat the back first. Okay. So once I've coated the back first, I've got wet and wet Powertex. So I've got my little piece of fabric here. And so I can put that onto the fabric, and then I can paint the top of that. So this just means that you don't have to paint them all individually. You could paint them all individually first, like what I'll show you next. So there's no right and wrong, just find what works for you. All right, so then I'm going to get that curly bit of fabric, and I'm just going to create a little bit of a base for it that's actually wrapping that head a little. I might actually leave that out to the side. Give it a little bit of a pull on there. And I'll leave this little bit down at the base. Now, what I have got, importantly, is I've got these kebab sticks, because they are just gold for working with the fabric. So you can see how I can hold it and I can actually pull it. And I'm forming that around the head. Now, I'm just going to make that bit of a shape. I'm going to push this up onto the neck a little bit more Powertex on that chin where it's already sort of touch dried. Okay, I'll actually put that up like that. All right, so we've got the start of a base. Now, with this one, sometimes what I do is I paint all my plasters first, and then I can just get it and actually paint the back and add it onto that piece. Now, just paint the front of it as well. It's a little bit resistant because it's got easy varnish on it, obviously, because it's got the wax. Be interesting texture. Do a little swirl. It's actually a lot of fun doing this. You'll love it. Okay. So that's my first layer. Touch that one with my fingers. Okay, so then we might just wipe this back so she's not going to be spotty. You will find with the easy varnish that it does resist any water-based mediums going over the top, because it does have a liquid wax in it. So, of course, the wax is actually resisting the Powertex. Okay. Be careful about painting your plaster in too many layers, And you can see this is a little bit messy now. If I want to, I can actually lift it and move it, but you can see how each time you do that, it actually changes the shape. But then at least I'm not working in this messy sort of puddle. Alrighty, so let's continue. And like I say, I just love using the t-shirt material. It's probably one of my favorite materials. Anne's just saying she loves the new bronze. She thinks it's beautiful to work with. So that's awesome. And she's also saying, yes, they've had a time change over there. So, with daylight savings and things, so it just makes it easier to watch. So that's great. All right, so again, it's the same. Sometimes if I'm dipping a string, I'll kind of dip it in one end, but with this one, I can just submerge it and then just go to the end and make sure that I've covered it all. So you can see it's not hard to work with. You do need to be a little bit organised with your space, but that's just putting, like you can see, I'm using these plastic mats, and then I've got the latex gloves. I've got a little bit of a water wash-up bowl, which I've got the, the wet cloth happening with, and that just trying to open it with the gloves on is a challenge. And so you can see inside that tube, it's not totally covered, but where it's really thin, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so I've got enough on there now. I'm going to just clean my gloves up so that I can get them back on easily. This is something I do. I wash my hands with my gloves on so that I can recycle these gloves over the course of a day. And so you will find that you should be able to use those gloves, longer than just one use. All right, now I'm just going to have a play with this. I'm going to pop that cut edge and that fatter edge on there. Put this one in the way now. Take that across there. Take this one out of there. Now I'm going to put a flat section on here, and then I'm going to take this beautiful ropey bit I'm going to take it across the eye there. So it looks a little bit like a flower, and I can tease and play with that shape. And then I can use this. Look at that lovely texture on that. So I'm going to use that side coming up. I'll hold it up for you shortly, if I can move it without it falling apart. So normally what I do is I like to leave it lying down until it's touch dry. This is where, you know, at the top you could put a loop on it if you wanted to. I'm just going to give it another curly bit down here. Oh, if it behaves. And as I say, it all will harden and stay as I place it. So overnight, I'm going to leave it overnight, and then next week I'll come back and I'll show you how we actually put the colouring into it. I'll just see if I can transfer it onto this lid. I need a paint scraper. I've got this. Just so you can, I'll hold it up so you can see it a bit closer. Okay, so you can see how it's got all these little twirly bits. And so I have just manipulated and draped that fabric to get this little, see that little sort of rosette sort of form. And then there's another little twirly bit down here. This is gorgeous using the edges. And what I like to do is I like to tuck my messy edges in underneath. And you can see I haven't left the whole face visible. So I've actually done it so that it's covering one of the eyes. If you don't like it, you can just move it. But I'm kind of liking it. So I'm just giving it a little bit more dimension and making sure that all of those little bits are attached. So once I've got that done, that's where I can then go, okay, do I want to add like one of these little flowers? So I can then put like a paper flower on here. So when I do that, I get my paper flower and my Powertex, and I like to just take my time to do it and get into all of the little nitty-gritty areas. It's very relaxing doing this, and I highly recommend, you know, if you're doing one, you might as well do 5 and just do them all at the same time and work across each one, and that way you can play with different fibres and fabrics and try different things out. And then when you're doing a larger piece, you can go, oh, I really liked how I did that, and that worked really well, and I really love that fabric. So I'm going to use that on a larger piece. And it will just give you the confidence. When you see how beautiful these little pieces come up, it will give you the confidence to move on to something a bit more adventurous. And it's just as easy to do the large pieces as it is to do your smaller pieces. So I also turn it over and I go onto the back of those flowers as well. And I'm very gentle with it because it is, at the end of the day, it is just paper, but it's actually going to harden really beautifully. And if I get good coverage on it, it's going to last a long time because the paper's not going to go moldy. The paper's not going to disintegrate. It's going to really, really last. All right, now I've got this big piece on the back. I like to actually cut that off so that I've just got a little piece there, or nothing. And how I do an instant stick on some of these bigger objects is I use the stoner clay. So stoner essentially is a refined paper pulp that when you mix it with the Powertex Universal Medium, it becomes an air-dried clay. This is something that you will see me use a lot because I do love it. So it's really lovely for, you know, just using as an air-dried clay element. But what I'm going to use it for now is, like I did with the Rusty Journal last week, for those who saw that, I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of stone art clay, and I'm going to use that clay to actually give an instant stick to that flower. So if you noticed what I did there, I had put my brush in water, and so my brush was very wet, and so I just took the excess water off. I'm just putting a little bit more Powertex on there, just so it's a little bit softer to work with. Get back into some of those areas. It's really interesting as the Powertex dries how you go, oh, I did actually miss that bit. Look at that. And it's always wet to wet. So whenever you're joining your Powertex, just make sure that you've got wet to wet. And I'm going to get that kebab stick. So instead of pushing it down with my fingers, I'm pushing it down onto that with the kebab stick. So what that means is that flower hasn't all flattened out. I know it's really hard to see because, there we go, I think that's better. So that flower, you can see, has a lot of dimension. And next week, when we take this actually off the off of here and it's all dry and we colour it up, you'll be amazed how beautiful it looks with the colours. So let's just get our little black piece. Not sure what I did with that. I think that's actually it there. There we go. Look at that. It's already drying. And we can add more to that piece as well. So I'd like to use up this bronze Powertex first. But I think you've got a sense of the two different types of bronzes. So you can see the different ones. So Nicole's just saying, great demo, very inspiring. Thank you, Ashley. So you're very welcome. These are really super little classes to do as tasters, and you will find that a trainer near you will probably do some little taster classes where you can just go along and you can have a little bit of a play with the medium and a little bit of guidance along the way without committing to a full day workshop. And then if it's something that you love doing, you can actually do a bit more, which I am sure you will find you do love. So let's just take a couple of bits of some of these, a couple of these other little bits that are here. Kind of going, oh, what do I want to do with that? I think that's kind of something like that. So we'll just get that. And I'm just going to continue using the bronze. So instead of the dark bronze, I'm still just going to use the light bronze here. So this is the original bronze colour. Get this out of the way. So when I'm doing the paper deco, sometimes if it's a very solid piece of paper deco, I will also spray mist it and then tease it apart. That way the fibres don't break, but the Powertex is also going to enable me to still tease it apart. And you can see how whilst I've coated one side, it's sort of gone through to the other side as well. So I'm just touching up any little white bits that I can see there. And then I just want to get that and tease it apart, make it shapes that I love. And then I can actually pop that onto my piece. So I might just put a little bit more Powertex onto here. I'm going to run away a bit. I'm just putting a little bit more Powertex on it. See how I've missed that little white bit there? I don't like to miss any bits because I prefer to have it all coated, and then when I take my colour onto it, it just looks so much better than if I've missed any little bits. The other thing about making sure that it is coated really thoroughly is, I'm loving this raised texture here. The other thing with making sure it is coated thoroughly is you know that it is hardened, and you also know that it is, you know, protected. I'm just teasing that out a bit more. Now, these little white bits that I've missed, I don't have to touch them up now. It's actually easier to do once it touch dries a little bit. But sometimes what I like to do is, if I don't like to squash everything down. So if everything is looking a bit squashy, that's where I'll sort of get my kebab stick and I'll just manipulate that texture a little bit. I think I'll go under there. That's better. You can't see it very well, but it's kind of cool. All right, and then the mop string, I would just do the same way. I would dip an end in. Like I said before, I can actually shred it. So let's use a little bit of that I've already shredded. And again, I can just lie that. You can see how versatile this plastic wrap is, because I can just lie that down on there and actually, instead of dipping it, just paint the Powertex onto it. I hope this inspires you all for a creative weekend. And like I say, if you have got Powertex in your stash, this is a fun little project for just getting started, building up a bit of confidence with the medium and playing with some different fibres and fabrics. Plus, at the end of the day, you have some beautiful little gifts to give to your friends or family for Christmas or for birthdays. So that's always nice to receive handmade. It's really personal, and especially if you've given some thought to sort of themes, whether people like sort of the ocean theme or whether they're more earthy. So I don't know if you can see that, but I have got some white patchy bits there. And so I would just allow it to touch dry and then touch up those little white patchy bits. And it's just a case of manipulating those textures until you're happy with how it looks. The other thing is, if you have got any sort of rogue textures that are going in ways that you don't like, then of course, once it is touch dry, you can just snip it off. So yeah, Anne's just saying it's a great mini project for beginning with Powertex. Absolutely, 100%. It's a lot of fun and you will learn so much just by having a play across some different elements. I'm going to touch up these little bits of white that are coming through because it's really annoying me. It's not too much. Now, I could also have dangled the rope. I could have tied knots in it. So I could do more of that. I could do more paper deco. I could put another flower on here, which I probably will do. I think I've got one that's already pre-painted. So we can actually put that one on there. And just get another little bit of stone art. With this one, I'm kind of thinking it would be nice to just leave just the mouth. So we'll do that. Get this little bit of wire off of here. Coat that with some Powertex. This with some Powertex. Get my little bit of stone art. Just softening that up. Popping it on there. And then we'll get that onto there. Oh. Pushed it too hard. There we go. Okay, and then we'll put this one on. And there's another one here. Look at that. I quite like that one. I could put another flower on there if I wanted to. Let's do that. Although this one here is begging for something down there. I've lost all of that beautiful texture that I did, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I do like that. And then I probably just need to pull this texture up a bit. I'm going to pull this all through here because it's kind of wasted where it is. Another little bit of stone art on this one. So it's really, really handy to prepare some stone art and have some. You can see what I've got here. I've got it in a sealed plastic container. It will last up to about 6 months in that container. So I like to have some pre-made and on hand so that I've got project ready stone art, so that if I have got something which I just want to have an instant stick so I can see what it looks like and I don't have to, wait for it to, it's not falling off. Just going to move that one up a little bit. That's quite nice. Then we'll just give this a little bit more dimension in here. Quite like that coming across that eye there. Just need, there we go. Need a bit more texture happening down here. So then I'd add a little bit more of something into here. I'm not going to, like that other fabric that I had is already creating a really nice base. Let me just lift this one up so you can see this one has the flower and you can see the little mouth and the nose coming through. So I'll add a little bit more fabric onto that, ready for next week. And so that we're ready to colour them up, and I can show you what you can do to create a joining point. Now, let's say I want to do a brooch and I want a loop. While you're actually creating these fabric elements, it's actually easy to make a loop and make it integrated into the piece. So when you've got something like this, you would just loop it so that there's a little loop left at the top that you can actually put something through. So there you go. There we have it. Working with Powertex, we've used the bronze Powertex this week. Like I say, it would be lovely to use red, blue and green for a bit of festive colour. They all make really beautiful bases. And then select a nice range of porous fabrics from your stash that you absolutely love, and have a play and see what you can do. And really, it is very, very good practice to wrap your mats with the plastic wrap, making it so much easier for you to clean up later on. So the easier you can make things, the more comfortable you are in the environment, the more fun you're going to have playing with this awesome medium. So next week on Friday Live, I will show you colouring the brooches up. So if you want to play along, maybe make a series of brooches this week, and then I'll show you some different colouring options next week. And I'll also show you how I put the pin on the back, just for a little tip and trick that I have found works really well, because otherwise you might find the pins will come off. So don't forget to share what you make with me. I would love to see it. So please do go into the group and look at my messy art table there. Please go into the group, the Powertex Australia Creative Hub, and post what you've made from Friday Live, hashtag Friday Live, so that I know that it's Friday Live that has actually inspired you to create. And if you are watching in replay, it would be also lovely if you can drop a comment. So for those of you who have loved the art journal, the Rusty journal that I did in the last couple of weeks, then if you are buying a Rusty journal kit, if you put in the notes brooches, 3 heads, I will know that you've watched Friday Live, and I will give you 3 little bonus heads in with that Rusty kit. So make sure you take advantage of that if you are in Australia. And of course, if you want to watch anything in replay, if you've missed that Rusty journal, it's another really fantastic, simple project for beginning with Powertex. It's got so many tips and tricks. If you don't like Rust, that's okay. You can basically do a similar thing, but using different colours, different words, and a different feel. So it's actually a steampunk Rusty art journal, and it is a lot of fun to do. So if you need some supplies and you are in Australia, then of course you can go to powertex.com.au and you will find all that you need there, or go to a trainer near you or a supplier near you and pick up your bits. Okay, everyone, I hope that was super inspiring. Fiona said, I've just got a few comments here. So Fiona has said, so welcome, Fiona. Nice to see you. I had fun experimenting last night. Now more ideas to play around with tonight. Woohoo! So that's what I love. I am here to share ideas with you about how you can use this incredible medium, Powertex Universal Medium, and all the other beautiful art supplies from Powertex Art Supplies. And of course, there are trainers near you. Fiona is local as well. So she is also an upcoming trainer and is going to be doing a lot of garden art because her business is gardening, and so she is taking it into garden art. So I can't wait to see Fiona's upcoming work and share it with you as well. So thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you have an amazing creative weekend. Please join me again next week to see the final part in bringing the colours together of these beautiful little fabric brooches that will make a gorgeous little Christmas present for your family or friends. Cheers. Have a lovely creative weekend. Bye.